A door acts as a boundary between things, but it can also be a locked barrier, keeping something out. There exist many tales of mystical gateways in tribal and ancient mythologies. And inner worlds, deep within the earth itself, are said to have hidden and even cursed entrances, some even requiring sacred objects to activate them. Once opened, their mysteries become almost an invitation to cross the threshold and wander into these doorways to nowhere.
It seems to be some sort of interdimensional doorway.
The Ayumarca mountain region of southern Peru is home to something strange. It's about 1 hour from the city of Puno, and because of the rugged mountain terrain, it's never been fully explored. It's been long revered by local Indians as the city of the gods. But no city has actually ever been found, although many of the rocks in this area are shaped like buildings, leading to speculation of an incredibly ancient origin. The notorious feature here is a gigantic door, La Puerta de Ayumarca, or Gate of the Gods or Spirits. It's measured as being 7 meters tall and 7 meters wide, or 22.5 feet squared. In the center of this gate, at its base, is a T-shaped alcove, 2 meters in height, or just over 6 feet. Just the right size for a human to pass through. According to some individuals who place their hands on the smaller inner door, they get a rush of energy flowing from it. Strange visions have also been reported, like images of stars, columns of fire, along with the sounds of strange rhythmic music. Seems to be a place of interest to the psychically sensitive. Reports of perceiving some kind of tunnels are common as well. So what's causing this effect? And what can folklore tell us about this doorway? According to ancient legend, when the Spanish arrived in the Incan Empire, an Incan priest named Aramu Moro wanted to stop the Spaniards from obtaining a precious religious artifact. And according to some historians, Aramu belonged to the monastery of the Seven Rays and was master of initiation ceremonies at the Sun Temple in Cusco, which housed the golden solar disk. This magical relic was said to be the sun disk of Mu, and not made from ordinary gold, but transmuted gold. This would have been done through alchemical processes with the use of sacred knowledge, and was described as being a translucent metal. Some believe this divine object dates back tens of thousands of years, being submerged after the destruction and subsequent flood inflicted on its mother civilization in an Atlantis-sounding tale, eventually making its way to the monastery of Seven Rays, where Aramu was witness to the arrival of European conquistadors. The priest fled from the invaders with the object to a safer place in the province, which is the same area where our mysterious door is located. Upon reaching this sacred door, he then placed the sun disk on it as some sort of key, and the door was said to have opened. And after crossing into the portal, he disappeared, never to be seen again. If the legend is true, then we're looking at a dormant, dimensional doorway. And on top of all the strange supernatural phenomena associated with this place, people see strange lights in and around this area. And many religious cults perform rituals here, perhaps trying to contact something that's not even human, something large enough to pass through this gigantic doorway. But we move on now to another bizarre gateway, one that's placed not in the middle of nowhere, but in the heart of civilization, for what seems like a very specific purpose. In late 2018, the government of Washington, D.C. placed the Arch of Palmyra directly in front of the U.S. Capitol building. According to the Digital Institute of Archaeology, this was to celebrate global heritage. But this structure was not erected, but rather resurrected. It's in fact a replica of the ancient arch in Syria that was destroyed by ISIS in 2015. It served as the entrance to the temple complex of the Canaanite god Baal, a deity of power, fertility, and child sacrifice. Before entering the complex, people would have to pass through this archway before worshiping as a sign of subservience or submission. And using the latest 3D printing tech, they have successfully brought this gateway back. And not just in Washington. The Arch of Baal has been risen in London, New York City, and Dubai. But why this arch in these cities? If you look at the position of them in DC and London relative to the temple-like buildings behind them, there may be a spiritual significance going deeper than some photo op. There's almost always an exoteric meaning for the public, and a deeper esoteric meaning hidden symbolically. It's almost an open secret that London and DC themselves have deep Masonic and pagan associations, and it's interesting to note the position of the rotunda in these photos. Many believe that the dome circular structures represent the womb of Isis, or Mother Goddess. Then we have the archway of Baal placed directly in front of it. It seems like an open invitation for someone or something, but I leave such interpretations to you. When speaking about the doorways to nowhere, we have to include the false doorways of ancient Egypt. In the interior of the tombs of pharaohs and priests, they would carve a large door, and the Egyptians believed that the false door was a threshold between the worlds of the living and the dead, through which a deity or spirit of the deceased could enter and exit. And families placed their offerings here for when they decided to cross back over. But being more than just an artistic expression, these sacred entrances were on-ramps to spiritual realms. But to the living, they were encapsulated dead ends. But there may be an actual door holding something tangible and truly unbelievable, and it seems that some want to deny its existence. In March 1935, news hit the world about the discovery of a secret city hidden under the sand dating back 4,000 years. A shaft had been discovered leading to the city, and the world waited to hear more on the excavation, but it never came. There was a sudden loss of interest by all parties involved, also a silence on the subject academically. Conspiratorial rumors spread about an attempt to hide the location of the entrance to the shaft, and it was reportedly in plain sight. Tales of the head of the Sphinx being an entrance to an underground civilization spread from speculation about the dig mixed with older myths. There are also numerous psychic prophecies of rediscovering lost knowledge of the Atlanteans from none other than the chambers beneath the Sphinx. It's been foretold that this vast knowledge would once again be spread to mankind from a secret library housing a complete history of mankind, forgotten religious text, and technological blueprints. Egyptian authorities deny that there's a door on the monument's head, but an aerial view shows that there is some kind of entrance, later covered up with a porthole. Around 1798, Vivant Denon etched an image of the newly discovered Sphinx still buried up to its neck. And interestingly, though, it depicts a man being pulled out of the hole at the top of its head. It's worth noting that the Egyptians liked to place depictions of lions near doorways as heavenly protection, which the Sphinx body is clearly that of a lion's. Could he be the guardian of lost texts of the Atlanteans? The Minister of State for Antiquities may know. Zahi Hawass passes on questions regarding any secret city and denies having explored one of the chambers from a rear entrance that was well documented just a few years ago. He still insists that these entrances are simply doorways to nowhere. The cosmos are said to be vast beyond comprehension, and not only contain massive objects and points of light, but also voids of nothingness, pockets of impossible blackness stretching out over the surrounding stars, forbidding the open light to escape. And our curiosity has drawn us toward these existential enigmas. Ancient humans worshipped and obsessed over pinpointing cosmic gateways. And perhaps these grand structures we read about in the great myths and texts were attempts to build doorways to the cosmos, or even somewhere stranger. The circular mandala emblem is thought to be an ornate and symbolic interpretation of the self in psychology and religion. And countless examples come out of the cultures all over the world since antiquity. But some have noticed that the ones from Asia and Central America look almost technological and bear a strong resemblance to a modern machine that is in use today in the study of advanced physics, possibly creating doorways of its own. What if the secrets of this tech are within these archaic images, and the only barrier is proper interpretation, knowing the language in which they are written? New technology may be solving this problem very soon. A group of nuclear scientists in Switzerland are determined to open a portal. Harnessing the elite minds and willpower of all nations, Cern has set its course into another plane of existence. Conspiracies surrounding this international organization and their occult ties abound, and their true motives may be more than a scientific yearning. For years, people have reported strange portal-like openings near their Large Hadron Collider, along with strange occurrences bordering on the paranormal. There's something happening in the physics these people are grasping at. It's filled with ghost particles, Big Bang recreations, and engineering colliders so swift they smash substances down to quarks in a contained subspace, hoping to find the secrets of an original engineer. And of course, at the height of their feet, possibly stand in his place. Wield the power of God and become a god yourself, right? But this may have come before. Many believe that the biblical account of Babel and its fantastic tower attempting to reach God may have been more of a portal or door, a technological device, that in one way or another, man willed his way to equaling God in his mind. And according to the Genesis account, it was the confounding of their languages by God that stopped their construction of this doorway to heaven. Archaeologists think that Babel was one gateway of many from the past. Many Babylonian and Sumerian tablets contain accounts of building these bridges to the gods. Much of the information contained in these tablets has remained uninterpreted and cryptic. But is man about to undo the language barrier established at Babel? A team of linguists from the Iraq Museum and the Institute for Assyriology created their own AI bot to decode previously illegible fragments of ancient Babylonian texts. And not only have they digitized every surviving Babylonian cuneiform tablet, but have processed 22,000 ancient text fragments, and the AI database then pieces these together and has been named the Fragmentarium. Is this tech building the stairway that was started so long ago? In the 1980s, Saddam Hussein was very interested in an ancient Sumerian ziggurat, and for some reason he worked heavily on its restoration. It was actually used as a military post for the Iraqis in the Gulf War. But among the standard weapons stored there, Saddam may have been hiding and protecting something beyond modern tech, left there by the Sumerians. One fascinating thing about this is that Saddam saw himself as a modern reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar, the ancient Babylonian king, and tasked himself with the massive reconstruction of Babylon. There is a conspiracy theory concerning the true use of the ziggurat, and it's pretty far out there, but some believe that the invasion of Iraq, which was initiated because of Hussein's hiding of weapons of mass destruction, was actually perpetrated solely for the control of the historical site of Ur, because somewhere within or directly above was a stargate leading somewhere that had the US government interested enough to wage war to obtain its power. So where or what was this cosmic opening? The Mesopotamians and Sumerians worshipped a group of powerful masters called the Anunnaki. Said to be of tremendous size and strength, they towered over the ancient humans who worshipped them. And they attributed fantastic powers to these strange gods who were covered in melum, a mysterious substance said to make them terrifying in splendor. And when they wanted to descend from heaven to our world, they used stargates, and this ziggurat was built around where one of these gates was used. And it's no doubt still considered a sacred site. On March 6, 2021, Pope Francis visited Ur, urging many Muslim and Christian leaders to come together and unify, and said this during his speech near the ziggurat, quote, "This blessed place brings us back to our origins. We seem to have returned home," unquote. But some have pointed out a more occult association with this place. The city was seemingly laid out in the alignment of the Orion constellation, also in the shape of the Seal of Solomon, an ancient symbol whose legend tells that it was used in a magical ring. The seal gave King Solomon power over demons, and he used it to detain these beings, question them on the knowledge of the universe, and even to force them to labor in completing his pristine temple complex. Take a look at the inner hexagon. It holds many fascinating associations and mirrors another cosmic body looming large in the heavens. One that emits mysterious radio transmissions from its core, unlike any other planets in the solar system. The planet Saturn is home to a cosmic storm 18,000 miles wide in the shape of a hexagon. Saturn was worshipped as a corridor to other dimensions in antiquity, and the hexagon is associated with the black cube symbol. Most scientists can only speculate that the hexagon is caused by massive winds moving across its surface, culminating at the pole. But others, like Nick Hinton, think it may be caused by an opening in space-time. In his book, The Saturn Time Cube Simulation, he posits the idea, saying, quote, "Perhaps a gate has always been there. On top of Saturn is a hexagon, that some scientists suggest might be the side effect of a gravitationally stabilized wormhole inside the planet. Unquote. And conspiracy theorist David Icke wrote several books on the subject, one being Everything You Need to Know But Have Not Been Told. In this book, he coins the term Saturn Stargate. And in his book titled The Trap, he says that Saturn is, quote, the gateway or boundary one must cross to enter heaven. Certain members of the Nazi elite worship the Black Sun, and some believe that this lesser black hole was the object of their veneration. The reason for its association with the black cube is that the 2D hexagon can be seen as a representation of a 3D cube. And if you're not familiar with the cult of the black cube and the occult associations with this symbol, click on my video here for more in-depth information on the subject. And a fascinating thing to consider is that Saturn being a gateway is a theme that has occurred for decades in movies and entertainment. 2013's Interstellar and the 2001 remake of Planet of the Apes both feature gateways near Saturn. And although the movie 2001: A Space Odyssey changed the location of the wormhole, in the original book, it featured the portal being near Saturn. If Saturn is what some think it is, where does it lead? Is there an exit doorway? What other kinds of strangeness is lurking in our universe? Recently, scientists have discovered mass that seems to spontaneously emerge from a single point. And they've dubbed these anomalies as white holes. And they have two prominent theories as to why they exist. One, either time is flowing backward in a region of space around the event horizon of a black hole, and in turn they do not obey the laws of space-time. But a second theory has emerged, and it speculates that white holes may be the exit point of a black hole as a gateway to another universe, making matter into light energy as it emerges from an infinitesimally small point. Could these be the exit points to these gateways to nowhere? As far as Einstein's equations on relativity, they seem to check out, and scientists say that they're mathematically possible. But let's consider a more terrifying possibility for an exit point. There exist extremely dark places in our universe, voids, some so massive they're referred to as supervoids. One of the largest is Boötes Void, also known as the Great Nothing. It's a cold, desolate void in space, stretching 62 megaparsecs, or 330 million light-years across. Containing few galaxies, it appears as a black shadow on galactic maps, emitting almost no visible light. Imagine entering such a place and what you would experience. Many biblical descriptions of hell talk about deep, penetrating darkness and separation. Could this be the location of this legendary place of torment? Or is it something so far beyond us, we can't grasp what we're looking at? But if you haven't seen part 1 of Doorways to Nowhere, click here, or watch one of my videos on the soul and the afterlife. Until next time.